We are right on the hour, so why don't we make a start? Hello, everyone. My name is Mike. I am a chair on the MetaStandards Forum Educational Register, and I will be moderating today our presentation and webinar entitled Revolutionizing Education and Training with Virtual Worlds and AI. So thanks, everyone, for taking part and joining in today. As you may have noticed, this meeting is being recorded, so if you aren't able to stay for the whole time, there will be recording this. You can watch back later. To begin, let's do a little Q&A. So we are recording it, as I just alluded to. If you could, please change your name in Zoom to state your company and your name. This will help us sort of get a concept of who's involved and what perspective you bring to the discussion. We're also going to be doing the Q&A feature in Zoom throughout the presentations today. So if you have a question, please put it in the Q&A. I'll be looking over it at the end of each presentation. We'll give a brief period for question and answers to the speakers, and that's predominantly where I'll be looking. But I mean, if you need to use the chat function as well, feel free. I'll look at both. Throughout the presentations, please stay muted. That's going to make for the best recording possible. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump in. So these are our two experts that are going to be speaking today. We have Eddie and Nelly, and I'll give a brief intro for each, and then we'll begin with Eddie's presentation. So Eddie is an expert in video game development, virtual reality, and STEAM education. With a strong background in creating immersive experiences and a passion for innovation, Eddie combines digital art, game development, and education to foster creativity and computational thinking. Eddie's going to share his insights today on virtual worlds for learning, themed classrooms, interactive laboratories, and immersive games for academic formation in the metaverse. After Eddie's presentation and a Q&A, we'll move over to talk with Nelly giving a presentation. Nelly is the founder of Tangra, a cutting-edge platform that combines AI, VR, and workflows to revolutionize workforce training. With an MBA in business analytics and an MS in mathematics, computer science, and education, Nelly brings a unique blend of technical expertise and business acumen to the field. Today, she's going to share her insights on immersive AI experiences for workplace training. So yeah, as alluded, this is our agenda for the day. Eddie is going to give a talk. We'll do a bit of Q&A where I'll come back on and manage the Q&A. Then we'll move into Nelly's presentation. And finally, we'll wrap up the meeting with some final words sent off. So without further ado, Eddie, if you want to steal the presentation, feel free. I will turn off my audio and video, and you can take the reins.
Okay. Good morning, afternoon, everyone. My name is Jonathan Garcia Form. I don't know if you can confirm, if you can see my screen, if you can listen me properly.
Yep, Eddie, it's coming through great.
Right? Okay, I'm truly delighted to welcome you to this webinar, Revolutionizing Education and Training with Virtual Worlds and AI. Today, we'll embark on an exciting journey into the world of virtual learning. My presentation is titled Virtual Worlds for Learning, Internet Classrooms, Interactive Laboratories, and Immersive Games for Academic Formations. That is part of my PhD dissertation in Nanjing University of the Arts. Before we begin, I like to ask you, what has been your biggest challenge in implementing virtual experience in education? Everyone, if you feel free to answer in the chat or mention them during session, that's good. Okay. Now education is a pivotal moment in history. Traditional methods are being challenged by rapid advancement of technology, and virtual environments are emerging as powerful tools to revolutionize how we teach and learn. These immersive platforms offer students opportunities to engage with content in ways that are not only educational, but also deeply engaging and memorable. As you will see in Nelly's presentation, the data shows that immersive experience outperform traditional methods in terms of retention and engagement. Today, I will show you practical examples of how this translates into the classroom. Our primary objectives today are to unpack the potential of TEMET classrooms, interactive labs, and immersive games in K-12 education, show their impact on students' engagement, comprehension, and practical skill development, and explore how gamification and collaboration in virtual space can transform the educational experience. Okay, I reading now that insufficient VR knowledge among the staff members, mhm, scaling with VR. Okay, that is a good. Continue. Additional, we explore how we can work together as a community to overcome challenge in implementing these technologies and develop shared resources that benefit everyone. Okay, imagine stepping into a classroom where the walls dissolve into medieval castles or ancient Egyptian pyramids. These STEM environments immerse students in a historical and cultural context, making learning dynamic and unforgettable. Imagine you are designing a STEM classroom for your own subject or course. What theme will you choose and why? If you want, you can share also your ideas in the chat. 10 classrooms are not just about aesthetics. They are about creating a space where the students can actively participate in the narrative or area they're studying. For example, I developed this STEM classroom. In a medieval STEM classroom, students don't just read about knights and castles, they live in it. They can craft armor, explore feudal systems, and even simulate daily life in medieval village. For example, a student may be tasked with designing a coat of arms, understanding the symbolisms behind heraldry, or solving problems related to resource management in a feudal economy. Another STEM classroom that I developed is the ancient Egypt STEM's classroom. Students can explore the pyramids, the super hieroglyphics, and delve into the rich mythology of this civilization. They can interact with symbolic elements like the Eye of Horus, or the Ankh, gaining a deeper appreciation for Egyptian culture. I think this class of classrooms foster creativity, critical thinking, and cultural awareness. By stepping into these worlds, students develop empathy for different perspectives of eras. In another way, I also develop interactive labs that take STEAM education to the next level by providing hands-on experience in a safe and controlled environment. These labs allow the students to conduct experiments, manipulate components, and visualize complex processes without the risk or cost associated with traditional setups. In chemistry, students can mix compounds, observe reactions, and understand molecular interactions, all virtually. Imagine a student experimenting with acids and bases, seeing the color change and learning about pH levels without the risk of spills or accidents. These labs enhance practical skills, deepen conceptual understanding, and reduce costs associated with traditional setups. They also democratize access to high-quality STEAM education, especially for schools with limited resources. One of the biggest challenge we faced when implementing virtual labs was the resistance from some teachers to adopt this technology. I think maybe you face something similar. If you can answer or can suggest us how did you address it? Mm, okay. In another way, in a virtual biology lab, students can dissect organisms, study cell structures, and simulate biological process. For example, they can observe mitosis in real time or explore the anatomy of a frog without the ethical concerns of using real specimens. Moreover, interactive labs cater to diverse learning styles. Visual learners benefit from the 3D models, while kinesthetic learners thrive in the hands-on environment. I'm going to share another of my developments, that is R2 Metaverse. Imagine you have to turn on a LED using Arduino. What step would you take? I think gamification transforms learning into an adventure. Platforms like this, like our Metaverse, use quest, challenge, and rewards to teach electronics and programming in a way that both are fun and educational. One mission in our Metaverse requires students to turn on a LED using an Arduino board. To complete the task, they must to solve puzzles, overcome obstacles, and apply their knowledge of circuits and programming. This approach combines theory with hands-on practice. Students not only learn how to code, but also understand underlying principles of electronics. Gamifications promotes problem solving, creativity, and collaboration. It keeps students engaged by tapping into their natural curiosity and desire for achievement. It also fosters a growth mindset when students encounter challenge, they are motivated to preserve and learn from their mistakes. I think a crucial skill for lifelong learning. I have another questions. What kind of rewards or challenge would you add to an educational game to motivate students? There is a lot of people. Beyond individual lessons, expansive metaverse like this, like Dinosaur Museum, offer collaborative learning opportunities. This is stop. Okay. This platform enable multiple users to interact simultaneously, fostering teamwork and communication. In this project, in this metaverse, Dinosaur Museum, students embark on quests, discover points of interest, and engage in shared exploration. For example, they may work together to solve a mystery about dinosaur extinction or collaborate to reconstruct a fossil skeleton. Imagine you are working with the students from another country on a project about climate change. What tools or platform would you use to facilitate this collaboration? I think Metaverse Standards Forum is an excellent place to find standards and best practice for developing these collaborative environments. Now, imagine stepping into a virtual space. Instead of read about engines in a textbooks, you can interact with one in a full three-dimensional environment. With this technology, students can delve into the core of an engine, observe its part from all angles, and learn how each component comes together to create a powerful machine. This is not just about observation. Students can disassemble the engine, examine each part, and even assemble it back together, gaining hands-on experience in a safe and controlled virtual setting. But then that's not all. In this virtual reality environment, students don't just interact with the engine. They also have access to a range of tools you find in real life mechanics workshop, like screwdrivers, like pliers, uh, or within virtual reach, allowing the students to manipulate each component of the engine as they work in the real world. This level of realism ensures that students develop practical skills where we are learning the theory behind each component. Additional, this kind of environment have virtual touchscreens. Touchscreens provide detailed information about each part of the engine. Students also can learn the function, the history, and interaction of each component depending of their understanding of how the engine works as a whole. For example, they can explore how the pistons, crankshaft, or camshaft work together, convert energy into motion. Now, I want to talk about the future of education that is being shaped by the convergence of virtual worlds, artificial intelligence, hybrid learning, and immersive technology. I think these tools will not only transform how we teach, but also how students learn, how to collaborate, how they prepare for the challenge in this century. I'm thinking that the hybrid learning will combine the best of physical and virtual environments, and the students will be able to alternate between traditional class and immersive experience in virtual worlds. Okay, yes. At the end, I will read the questions. Okay, about the innovations in virtual environments, there is three innovations. I think advanced simulations in the future, simulations will become even more advanced, allowing students to explore more complex scenarios such as space travel, medical surgeries, or urban infrastructure design. Also allow global collaboration. I think this kind of virtual worlds will eliminate geographical barriers, enable students from around the globe to collaborate on joint projects. And finally, extended reality that includes virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality will offer more immersive experience. For example, students call or like historical information onto ancient ruins using AR or interact with holograms of famous scientists in a classroom setting. I think virtual worlds have the potential to democratize education, making advanced resources accessible to students in remote areas or with limited resources. Affordable and accessible platforms will allow more students to access virtual labs, digital libraries, and immersive experience without relying on costly infrastructure. Now, I want to make reflection about the difference between traditional methods and virtual learning environments, but Nelly will take this approach deeply, but okay, superficial. What aspects do you consider more transformative about virtual environments compared to traditional methods? If you want to share your thoughts in the chat, feel free. But now let's take a moment to compare traditional educational methods with innovative potential of virtual learning environments. I think some key aspects like the cost, the
I think we have lost Eddie here for a moment. We'll give him a minute or two to hop back in. Just as a reminder, everyone, if you have questions for Eddie, please paste them up in the chat and we will review them at the end of his presentation. Fingers crossed he can make a quick return.
okay. Okay, anyway, I was ending, so Nelly will talk more about deeply about the difference, the opportunities in between traditional and virtual learning environments. If you want to contact me, you can scan this QR code and access to my portfolio. And feel free to write me if you want to make contact with me. I don't know if some one of them has questions or comments. I didn't have the opportunity to pay attention too much to
It's all good, Eddie. I've got the
the chat.
questions listed for you. So why don't we start with a question from Mary, who asked which platforms you're using to build these worlds?
I use Unity to develop the works and spatial. Let me show you if I have spatial.io. You can see my screen, right? Or not?
Yeah.
This platform. Yes, this platform, I load the words. I have some words here, some metaverse, but this is just to plot. And all of you can enter and explore. But the software that I use to make that is Unity. I develop all in Unity. This is the tool.
That's great.
Okay, it's Tutu.
Thanks, Eddie. There's another question from, I'm going to apologize before I pronounce your name, Nergiz. who is interested in actual case studies where it's led to more maybe democratization or access to other users using these tools in virtual worlds.
Can you repeat, please, the question? Because
Yeah, no,
didn't hear it.
the participants looking for potential case studies. So
Ah,
examples where this has been used in the real world for success in education. If you could share any of those that you might have.
yes, I think you just need one computer, no? Mm, for example, if you want to explore or you want to make a classroom about chemistry that I was showing, it's more complex to have all the setup for chemistry, but I can develop all the full lab in metaverse and the students can explore. So that is one way that we can democratize the knowledge or this kind of platforms. It's not too heavy. It's based on web. You don't need to install a software. You just need to open the link and you can enter. A lot of people can enter and participate and collaborate. So that is the way that we can democratize the access. It's free.
That's great.
Mhm.
Thanks, Eddie.
Can
There's another question
mhm.
here from the chat asking about importing your own 3D models into spatial. Is that a possibility?
Yes, this platform has this possibility that the students can upload some 3D models. Here, here, upload. They can upload 3D models, image, videos, documents, and more.
And a little follow up. Do you know if
Yes,
there's a size limit for those assets?
it depends of the how to say. Okay, this is the limit. 100 megabytes, 100 megabytes for FBX, 100 megabytes. That's limit. That's
Okay.
limit. But if you develop the work in Unity, I mean, if you make the work in Unity and upload in Spatial, it's different. It's different. It's different. It's one now. They have one limit for to upload the project, but you also can buy different kind of grades and it has more size limit.
Great. I had a quick question for you. I hope you could answer it. I mean, you mentioned the idea of using a 3D virtual world to describe to students how to dissect a frog. I thought that was a great example, something that is more ethical than using a real cadaver. But question for you on my own interests. If I were to want to do that, let's say I'm an educator that wants to teach a classroom that, where would I start to find these assets? Where would I start to find these tools to develop these worlds to make it a comprehensive educational experience for those students? I'm a complete novice at this. I wouldn't know where to start. So if you could give me maybe 3 steps on where to really get my feet wet, that would be really helpful.
So you're asking how to develop the assets or
Yeah,
is
I
more
don't think I have the skill set to develop assets, but could I find
ah
assets about a frog dissection online? Is that something that exists, or is that going to be too specific to what's likely out there?
okay, pay attention because I think in the future, in the really near future, we can develop this kind of assets with artificial intelligence. Now I'm working for 3D assets with this platform, Image Space. I don't know, now my internet is a bit slow. Mm, wait a minute. With this platform, you just write what do you want. For example, I want they say create an experience educational center that represent from traditional play. And you can make the asset but in 2D. I think we are really near to have this kind of tools that also make 3D assets. So it's not too far. It's not too far. So okay, maybe we don't have. I also don't have the skills to make 3D models. Not like characters. I know a little bit about Blender or 3D Max, but I can understand that some teachers don't have these skills, and to get these skills is too hard. But we are near. We are near to have some tools that solve this problem.
Amazing. Eddie, thank you so much for your talk. This was
Okay.
fantastic. If anyone has any additional questions for Eddie, we might have a little time at the end of today's presentation, but in the interest of proceeding forward and giving Nelly equal amount of time in our platform, Nelly, if you want to take over, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mike and Eddie. Fantastic presentation. Thank you. Can you please confirm you can see my screen?
Yeah, we got it, Nelly.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So I'm going to talk about immersive AI-powered experience and more particularly how they are applied to workplace trainings. Let's make sure I can move my slides. All right. So currently, most online trainings are boring, suffer from low engagement, and despite the effort and time spent on them, they sometimes fail to teach new skills effectively. Now, imagine a world where workplace training is a thrilling journey of discovery, and what we are doing at Tangra is transforming these trainings into engaging and effective experiences utilizing immersive technology and AI. I believe that immersive learning is one of the biggest breakthroughs in education lately. And as an educator myself, as a lifelong learner and innovator, I am super excited to be part of transforming the way we learn and the way we teach. I believe that we will talk about, we will talk about some benefits of immersive training, some trends, what our vision is, and also I will share some use cases that we have built and something we have learned along the way. Immersive learning leverages technologies like virtual reality to create highly engaging learning experiences. Learners are immersed into these interactive virtual environments, allowing them to practice and develop skills in a way that traditional learning methods cannot match. Immersive training programs typically include certain components like realistic simulations where people can practice skills, interactive content like 3D models, videos with branching paths and other interactive elements, real-time collaboration tools for virtual teamwork, communication, some game-like elements which are particularly popular. This could be giving badges at the end of a hands-on assignment or having a leaderboard showing all the results of all the participants. And more we see AI assistants or agents who might be leading the training or just act as like teaching assistants, be there for to answer questions, to provide feedback, and so on. If we remember the cone of learning, we can see that the retention is best when people actively participate in the learning process. So what we see, we remember much more from what we do rather than from what we read, for example. And immersive technologies offer an easy way to involve all those learning methods, and therefore they are so effective. Experiential learning or the learning by doing is highly effective, as we just saw. Thanks to AI, we can offer hyper-personalized training, resulting in higher engagement, retention, and satisfaction. We all know that gamification boosts engagement and retention. And last but not least, when learners are emotionally connected to the topic, they develop a much deeper understanding of the matter and retain much more information. And if we look at this PwC study, I know that someone was asking about case studies. You can have a look at this case study by PwC, and because they're walking the talk, so to speak, they are doing virtual reality trainings at their company, so they can kind of back up that study with quite a lot of data. And we can see that VR training is 6 times more focused, for example, leads to 15 times higher retention compared to traditional classroom training. And what is even more fascinating is that people are much more confident to apply the skills they have learned. Immersive training captivates learners by creating interactive and realistic experiences, leading to higher engagement and higher knowledge retention. By replicating real-world scenarios, employees can practice and refine their skills in a safe and controlled environment whenever that is something which could hardly be replicated in the real world. This is super important. The environment can be accessed remotely, which makes it convenient for people in different locations. And of course, it can significantly reduce costs. So, some trends around the way we learn and obviously the way we teach. With short attention spans and busier than ever lives, we value skills over degrees, and we prefer micro-learning or bite-sized learning over long training programs, right? It obviously becomes more and more technology and AI-driven, and personalization nowadays is everything. We know that. So tailoring the experience to individuals' needs, preferences, and learning styles is crucial, and it is possible in these virtual trainings. A fun fact, which I wanted to share with you, half of Gen Z prefers AI guidance over their managers. Fascinating, isn't it? Our vision at Tangra is to transform virtual trainings into immersive, engaging, and effective experiences. We've designed 3D worlds and avatars. We've integrated various AI models, and those models serve, as I mentioned already, as AI assistants who can guide or help with the training experience. But on the other hand, AI is responsible for that personalization of the experience, which I also talked about. We've developed the functionality necessary for learning and collaboration, like video, audio, quizzes, interactive elements, and so on. Instructors can just bring their materials and seamlessly create their trainings in Tangra. And something else, it is easy to use with seamless UX, and it is accessible on web and mobile, what Eddie was just showing, so you don't have the overhead of the VR headsets for now. A couple of trainings which I want to show you. Our most popular is a sustainability training, which could be hosted either in a forest or on a tropical island. And there you can hear the birds chirping, the breeze rustling the tree leaves, and the ocean waves. It is a truly full immersion. What we have there is people learning about zero waste practices. They can take quizzes, participate in breakout assignments. The difference is that our breakout rooms are actually not rooms, but flower patches, for example, in that forest. And there are games like collecting plastic items littered throughout the space, and then they receive a badge after cleaning up, their environment, that virtual environment. They receive a badge. There is a leaderboard if it is a group activity, but it could also be individual. It could be led by an instructor or by an AI assistant as well. Another one which I wanted to share with you is cybersecurity training. Why cybersecurity training? Turns out that up to 95% of cybersecurity incidents are caused by human error. And in the US, we are grappling with a shortage of 3 to 5 million cybersecurity professionals. So basically, what this means is we have to reskill and train people, like millions of people, and we need to do it very fast. So why not learn about safe internet practices in a virtual reality coffee shop? It can be transformed into a 3D lab, visualizing all the parts of the network, the Wi-Fi network, the servers, data centers, firewalls, and so on. And when a hacker threat is detected, we learn that public networks can be risky. We learn what to do, what to avoid to safeguard our data. At the end of the experience, the hacker is defeated. We ace the training. Everything is great. And what happens here is that because we are engaged, we can understand even complex concepts much more easily. We remember them longer. And what is even more important is that we connect emotionally to the topic. In this case, we can see the threat coming, and therefore that connection, that emotional connection, helps us not only to learn these new skills, but also to apply them and to actually change our behaviors. At the end of the day, that's what we want to do, right? We want to teach people, but we also want them to change their behavior. So in this case, they can avoid, data breaches or be capable of guarding their own data. So what consideration should we take into account before we start searching for or maybe building an immersive training ourselves? We should have obviously a clear idea of our target, their goals, the type of training which we are planning to do, individual or self-paced. Individual and self-paced would be a different experience from an instructor-led collaborative group training, of course. How many concurrent users are expected? There are certain things on the technical side which are important. What hardware or software or devices are we using, VR headsets or not? That's also important if we are using, what brand model, etc. Lastly, we need to consider the AI models as well. If we are going to use them, do we need a private instance, maybe for sensitive data, or a public one is safe? And do we require a custom trained model for some particular set of knowledge, or is just the open public model going to do the job? Now, let me share some learnings and best practices we have gained along the way. Obviously, we want to create engaging content and have those interactive elements, those hands-on components. both learners and instructors expect real-time feedback. They expect reporting. They expect to see their progression throughout the training. If it is, let's say, composed of several modules, they want to see that as it is expected. Choosing the right technology is crucial. That goes back to knowing the users and their technological proficiency and preferences, and that informs us what technology to select. For example, there are people who are more tech savvy or they are gamers, and they would love to customize, let's say, their avatars, to customize their space. They feel much more comfortable doing that, while for others, it is easier to just give them an easy way to enter the experience, to just choose a predefined avatar and get them started without necessarily customizing any of the experience. Since these immersive trainings are composed of, basically there are many moving parts, we must ensure proper time for testing and for onboarding all users. We should test on different devices. We should test various scenarios, obviously conduct trial runs. We are aware of that, and ensure the technical support and help documentation is available when necessary. Constantly monitoring and improving the experience. As with any technology, nothing is ideal at the beginning, so surveying users, gauging their satisfaction with the experience, analyzing data, and most importantly, analyzing data to gauge the effectiveness of the training. So at the end of the day, we want to quickly and efficiently reskill or upskill people, right? So it's not only about providing some engaging training, but it needs to be effective. We want them to learn those skills and to start applying them. While we're building the future of training and bringing it to as many people as possible, I would invite you to join our journey if you or someone need better employee training. Let's talk. I would love to connect with you. Here is how you can connect, and I'll also post my LinkedIn profile. Happy to connect with everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nelly. That was a great presentation. We're going to move into question and answer period here. And I'm going to start us off. Nelly, I've got a question for you. In this new world order of AI, it seems like everywhere you look, there's something AI related. I was wondering if you had any success stories of education or something you've seen take place that used AI to good effect. Some effective method that kind of made you rethink maybe how it could be utilized. I've heard a lot of sort of excitement around agents or RAG models, things like that have been sort of thrown around at me. I won't pretend to be an expert in this space, but I would love to hear from you on any sort of stories that you've got to share with the group.
Yeah, so we use AI assistants for a guided experience when an instructor isn't necessarily needed, and utilizing the conversational capabilities of AI is fascinating. It is as simple as just asking questions, and you can, type them or speak them. So those technologies, text-to-speech, speech-to-text, those are just fascinating additions to the training. I'm with Eddie on that. What we are discussing here is not replacing anything. We know it's not totally replacing the classroom experience, of course, but it is adding, and it is adding a lot to it. On the other hand, utilizing Gen AI for creating content of any sort, like 3D models, as Eddie mentioned. Obviously, we can do images and text pretty easily today, but going into videos and then 3D models, that is also invaluable. I can share an experience with a college which uses this space and an AI assistant to as a 3D chatbot. So it is something very helpful with, you can imagine just answering. You can imagine someone picking up the phone or answering the same questions time and again. So in that regard, still being conversational, you can talk, like speak to that assistant. In that case, the assistant had to be custom trained, so we don't want it to hallucinate. We don't want it to make up, I don't know, tuition rates or or some courses which don't exist at that college. So that's why I mentioned how important it is to know what you need from that experience, from the experience. That way you can choose the right approach, the right AI model. And obviously, it's all moving so fast. You always have to, watch out for the latest version or maybe new functionality coming out, and make sure that you implement that into the platform as quickly as possible.
Fantastic. Thank you. There's a couple of questions from the audience that I'll help to sort of push your way. During your presentation, you presented a PwC study, and there were some people interested about it. They had some probing questions, things like if you could send them a link to it. It seems like someone else may have done that already in the chat, but just to make sure that you send the right one that you were referencing in your slides, people are interested in reading that. And they're curious about what stage of user experience the data was pulled from. It was the slide that you were talking about. I think it was engagement and recall related to virtual experiences, having higher percentage recall, I think it was.
The PwC study?
Yes, sorry, I might have misspoke. Yeah.
Yeah, I will send the links to the study. But again, why it is important, it is because they walk the talk. They are not only advocating for that, but they actually implement, and they do employee onboarding and training at their company. And I believe the study was done on thousands of people, but I will send the link to it in the chat in just a second.
Perfect. And while you're digging into that, there are some other questions. Trevor has asked a similar question, I think, to what I was asking, of how you're integrating AI in metaverse training environments. I don't know if you have anything else to add on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way we are approaching it, I believe this is the right link. The way we are approaching it is building the different pieces of the whole puzzle. At the end of the day, we are utilizing AI to create the content for us, or maybe giving it our input as a subject matter expert or an instructor, and then letting it create assets. Maybe the instructor is not keen on, creating all those images or videos, or not capable, or doesn't have the time and energy for that. So the AI, the Gen AI will be employed to do that job. I so much look forward to the time when we are going to create easily 3D assets, which are low poly and kind of can perform well in a web environment, which Tangre is. So this is what I'm kind of watching out for. This is where we are going. And with regards to just having that teaching assistant, if you will, or guide, if you will, of the experience, who you can talk to, who can respond, and who you can who can help you personalize that experience. So let's say module 1 is some, entry level kind of beginner's knowledge, which I already know. So it's very easy for that experience to be personalized, utilizing AI. And it's fun as well.
Great. There was one more question for you in the chat, and then we'll move into sort of wrap up and any other questions if people want to hang around. But question about plans to educate on the differences of centralization versus decentralization, Web3 ethos, data ownership, crypto wallets, digital assets in the metaverse. Comments on that question? It was from Chris. If you want to scroll up and get a little look at the question itself.
Is it a question to me, or is it?
It seems like it is. It says, thank you, Nelly. Do you have any plans to educate on the differences of centralization versus
If
decentralization?
you let me speak, I can ask the question.
Absolutely,
Okay.
Chris, go for it.
Thank you, Nelly. Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Webster. The question is, I saw that you had, it was a wonderful presentation inside of the spatial metaverse, which for some is like a Web 2 metaverse where you don't own your data, you don't own your avatar or your assets. So my question was, do you have any plans for the decentralized metaverses where you own your avatars, you own your data, and you own your property and your real estate and that type of thing? And do you have plans to educate for decentralized metaverses? Because I believe there will be a hybrid centralization metaverse and a decentralized metaverses where you can have direct self-custody. And when in spatial, they own your data. So in a decentralized metaverse, you own your data and you own your avatar assets and your digital assets and even your real estate. Whereas in spatial, the platform owns it. So that was my question. Do you have any plans to educate on the differences between centralization and decentralization? Thank you so much. And it's okay if you don't now, we can touch on it another time. Thank you.
Yeah, I can speak at length. And obviously at Tangra, we have thought about that and considered which approach to take. I believe the future is in decentralization. Before that happens, though, just owning your assets is fine, but without the interoperability and the standards around that, it's kind of pointless. So the idea of you owning your data, that's a must, but then using those assets across all the possible metaverses or virtual worlds, that is something, actually, that's why the Metaverse Standards Forum was created. So many experts from all sorts of companies, roles, backgrounds put their heads together and try to come up with those standards. And we need to have those ways to use the assets, because when you think about it, if you are capable of just, let's say, downloading all your data, in the case of a social media platform, for example, you can reuse it. It is just texts and some visuals, right? If you were to download your avatar, what do you do with it? Where do you use it? Or maybe wearables that you have acquired on one platform. So it is a bigger question. I would love to continue this conversation, and even I would invite you, Chris, if you're not a member of MSF, to become a member, because there are certain groups who work on those issues within the Metaverse Standards Forum.
That's a great transition, Nelly, to my ending slides for the presentation today. Just quickly reshare my screen here. So thank you, everyone, for joining in today and listening to our presentations. They're both fantastic and led to some great thought-provoking discussion. As a reminder, this is going to be recorded. You can always go back and check out all the video library, previous webinars in the Metaverse Standards Forum. Myself and Nelly are actually chairs of the educational register on the Metaverse Standards Forum, and we'd love for any educators that are interested to please join us, because we're looking for bright minds that are engaged and excited about education in the metaverse to join in and help us to define what the standards really should be, because ultimately it should be defined by the people using it most. So without further ado, that's what I have for today. Thank you so much for taking part and joining us, and feel free to stick around. I'm sure our presentation folk will have more to say on anything that you'd like to ask them, but those of you who are just joining for the talks today, thank you for coming by. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. We meet usually once a month, and I would love to see you at a future meeting of the Metaverse Educational Register.